welcome to Getting to Good Enough. I'm Shannon Wilkinson.
And I'm Janine Adams. We're here for practical and fun conversations about living with more ease and way less stress.
Yep, we're all about embracing progress over perfection. So grab a tasty beverage and let's get started. Hey, Janine.
Hey, Shannon, how are you?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm doing really well, too. I'm enjoying the chance to talk to you.
I know. It's so nice to have this regular time.
Yeah, it's great.
It's super easy to say yes to.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. This was something that I said yes to immediately 7 years ago that we started the podcast. One of those, Shannon wants to do it. Okay, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And then it was easy to say yes to bringing it back. No,
it took a little work.
Revisionist history here.
Once you got to yes, then it was easy to keep saying yes, and like once you were on board, you were really on board. But there was a little reluctance, maybe.
Okay. I wish I could remember that. I totally believe you. And I believe that I would be reluctant.
But it wasn't like I had to spend a lot of time convincing you. I think it was just like the idea had to be presented and then just like periodically show up until you came around to thinking that it was a good idea that you wanted to do.
You could write, or not write, well, you could write a book, but you could also make a lot of money teaching people how to present things to get to yes, because you're very good at it. And you offer great advice in talking to one's spouses, for example.
Well, yeah, because the usual sort of sticking point we all have is talking to people as if they were like ourselves.
Right.
And so often they are not like us.
Exactly. So if we approach somebody else the way we want to be approached, that may not be the way to get to yes.
Right.
Huh.
Correct.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now I feel like this is what we should talk about.
I know. Let's do it.
We can. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Look at how that works.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
I think one of the biggest times that people notice a huge difference, and I think this might be what you're referring to in terms of talking to your spouse, is in, I don't know, I guess psychology, and I learned it in my neurolinguistic programming training, but people who look for similarities in things, like when they're looking at a variety of things, they see what's similar. And there are people who see what's different. And those are really different worlds to live in.
Yes.
And you're a similarity person.
I definitely see similarities, yes.
And your husband is a differences person.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. And until you helped me, that made it difficult sometimes to communicate.
Yeah. And I'm a mix. I used to be a person who primarily sorted for difference and then similarity. And now I've become more of a person who sees similarity and sorts for differences. And
so this can be an evolving thing?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And I think now I haven't ever put this together, and I may be wrong because it's quite possible I talked about this in a previous podcast, but I don't remember. So it feels like a new revelation to me, that perfectionistic tendencies may be related to being a person who sees difference, who sorts for difference.
Is that because when you're looking for perfect, you're on the lookout for imperfect?
Yeah, you're looking for things that take you away from perfection.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what is sort of the tipping point between like striving for good or, striving for success and perfectionism, is that perfectionism constantly sees what's not perfect.
Right. And that doesn't sound like a very pleasant place to live.
No, but a lot of people feel pretty hardwired in that
Hmm.
way, and
Hmm.
that it doesn't feel like something you can change or something that can evolve over time. But definitely, I'm a good example of how it can.
Yeah. And
Um,
I know that the pod that talking about this stuff for all those years had an effect on that, on your journey toward good enough. Um,
Absolutely.
Besides that, have you been trying to change this?
Well, I think I've been more about trying to keep it in context. So there are situations where it's great to be a person who sees difference, like if you're editing some writing,
Hmm.
typos jump out at you if you sort for difference because you see the thing that breaks the pattern.
Right. And I try to harness Barry's seeing differences when I was learning to knit. And I
Mm-hmm.
would be knitting and I'd come up with the wrong number of stitches on my needle and I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
see the problem. I couldn't see the mistake. And I would just say
Right.
to him, there's a mistake in here. Can you find it? He'd be like, boom, there it
Yep.
is. A drop stitch or an added stitch or whatever. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
definitely feel the difference between those two things.
Right. So you can see how in some respects it can be a little bit of a superpower of being
Hmm.
able to identify, see those patterns immediately. And I feel like I'll open a menu and I'll see a typo. Like it feels to me like it has neon lights on it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like I don't even have to read it. I feel like it pops out at me. Um, but it's sort of less enjoyable if you have, say, finished a knitting project, which you're really excited and happy about, and you show it to someone who sorts for difference, and they say the first thing they notice is the mistake. They see a drop stitch in there.
Yeah, definitely. That I've lived to that. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, and my takeaway from that, having experienced that, was I just stopped showing it to him. Or actually, he
Mhm.
also learned. He actually did learn not to say the thing that came to his mind when he,
Right.
yeah, because they didn't go well. Yeah.
Yeah. But, sort of knowing that that's how his brain is wired and how your brain is
Hmm.
wired, it makes it easier to say, I want to be able to show you things and have you just be excited and not point out the mistakes.
Right. I'm not looking for that kind of feedback right now. It's
Yeah.
done. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm excited that it's done and I can show it to people.
Right.
um,
Yeah.
and that's like a fundamental difference, is like understanding, particularly, with a spouse or a partner, someone that you are interacting with a lot, particularly if you two see things differently or experience things differently. And
Yeah, because it can lead to a lot of frustration
mhm,
if you don't know it, if you don't recognize it for what it is.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's helpful to tell the other person what you need from them,
Hmm.
so that you can get what it is that you want, as opposed to just continually being frustrated. And sometimes it's hard because I like sort of feel like that is cheating somehow. Like if I say, I just want you to be excited for me. I don't need any feedback right now. I just want you to be excited. But if I say that and then they're excited, I'm happy about that. Like it's good.
Yeah, I could see how it could feel like it diminishes the authenticity of the excitement on the
Yeah.
part of the other person. But
Yeah.
that's not fair to him or her because if they're genuinely excited,
Right.
I mean, then you should have the full benefit of that.
Yeah.
But you're right.
Yeah.
Just saying those, or I don't know if this falls into that same thing, but like sometimes when you have a problem, you don't want a solution suggested. You just want commiseration.
Right.
And sometimes I will say that before I present. I'm just complaining about this. I'm not looking for a solution.
Yep.
And
yeah. And that's super helpful for both of you, because then you can have a conversation that is satisfying. Like, you get what you want, and then the other person doesn't feel frustrated that what they were trying to offer wasn't received well. And
right. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a great communication tool. Are there other, I mean, you taught me about that similarities and differences thing about 20 years ago, and it was so helpful. I'm like, so glad you went to NLP school. Are there other tricks or communication foibles that people could benefit from learning about?
Yeah, there's also something called mismatching, where it's it sort of doesn't matter what someone is being told. Their inclination is to sort of go the opposite way, or to say no immediately. And I know I sort of fall in that. Like, you know how there's the sort of the sales technique of asking questions, of saying, well, if this could do this for you, wouldn't you want that? And my immediate reaction is like, no.
Is that because you're being sold to?
I feel like I'm being sold to.
Right.
Yeah. And I don't like that. I don't like to feel manipulated. And I also don't want to feel like I'm making a commitment to something before I'm ready to make a commitment to it.
Yeah.
So, someone asked me that question, what I really want to be able to say is, possibly, but I don't have enough information yet. I don't know. And it's hard to say that in a conversation like that.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like a yes or no answer. And to say the third thing, maybe, I don't know yet, can feel, I don't know, it feels, I guess it can feel a little combative, maybe, or like I'm not doing my lines properly. Like,
Well, and
like
also
the little people pleaser comes out and
Yeah.
is like,
yeah, and it's extending the conversation that maybe you don't want to be having anyway.
Yeah.
I could see that being a hesitancy. Like, yeah, that's not what I want to talk about right now. I want to talk about whatever it is. I want to talk about the features of that car.
right.
Not about, yeah. But so the mismatchers tend to have a knee-jerk reaction of no against a suggestion. Is
Right.
that
Correct. Yeah. Or, whatever's being said, they're sort of, immediately sort of feel like they need to be on the opposite side. It's a little bit of the kind of the, let me be the devil's advocate here kind of thing.
right?
But the thing is that's often, that sort of pattern of thinking is often just a protection. It's sort of like, what I was just saying, if you get asked that question of, well, if I could do this for you, would you buy it? It's sort of like, I'm not ready to answer yes or no, but I'm going to say no because I want to protect myself from whatever it is you're pitching me. Or it's a way to sort of preserve their ability to make a decision.
And yeah, not get pushed around. And the opposite of that is what? The opposite of a mismatcher is somebody who doesn't do that.
Who maybe agrees with something, whether or not they really agree with it, just to be agreeable.
Right.
To match as opposed to mismatch.
I see. Right. And that can have its ups and downs as well, I would think. It's pros and cons. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All of these things, I think, initially start as kind of a way to protect yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then can maybe even feel a little problematic because it just happens so quickly. You don't even think about it. And you may not even know that you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's just how your brain works. And the thing about it is you can present ideas to a mismatcher, say, um, in a way that allows them to hear the information and remain at a place of choice, like where they feel like they can make a real decision as opposed to having to just say the opposite of whatever it is that you said.
So if
And
somebody were married to a mismatcher, they might want to hear how to do that, right?
they maybe they do. But the easiest thing to do is to say up front, like to give them, to let them know that they can make a real decision here. They don't have to just react to what it is you're saying. And one of the easiest ways to do that is saying something along the lines of, let's say you're trying to decide where to go to dinner, and there's a place you want to try, but if you say, hey, let's go to the new Italian place, they're going to say no.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I can't relate to that at all, but go ahead.
so if you say, hey, I don't know if this is anything you'd be interested in, but I heard about this new Italian place. And you're not even asking a question, but you're
Mm-hmm.
putting this information out there, and there's not a clear yes or no. And the implied question isn't even about the thing that you really want to know about. The implied question is whether or not they've heard of it or would be
Right.
interested in it. And so if people feel like that can be manipulative, and really it's not, you're just providing information to someone in a way that they can hear it and respond based on what they really want, as opposed to their sort of immediate reaction to being asked a question.
Right. So I want to hear that again. I heard it. I mean, I took in what you said, but is that
Yeah.
if I were wanting to replicate that, um, it's a question that is neutral.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, do you want to go to France for vacation?
Mm-hmm.
It's a question that opens up the conversation without their having to respond to the thing that you really want to ask to know.
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah.
so
So
let's
you
hear
could
it again.
say, so using that example, you could say, I don't know if this is anything that you would be interested in. I've been thinking it would be kind of fun to vacation in France.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
that is just, it's an open-ended phrase that is sort of masquerading as a question,
Mm-hmm.
or a question masquerading as a phrase, that opens a discussion, as opposed to asking a very straightforward question that's going to elicit an immediate response, whether or not the person really feels that way. And that's the thing that I've noticed with mismatchers that I have in my life, is that they'll often say no immediately, and then a day or two later come back and it's like, oh, I was thinking about that, and that does sound sort of interesting. But I took them at their word and was like, oh, they don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And so it just allows you to have a conversation in
Yeah.
a way that feels good to the other person.
That's excellent. And how would someone know whether or not they're a mismatcher?
How would someone know that about themselves?
Mm-hmm.
um well,
Pay attention.
yeah, I mean, pay attention when someone asks you a question. what what's that like for you?
Yeah.
Like, Do you sort of feel guarded? Do you feel put on the spot? Do you feel like you can respond the way you really want to? Do you feel like you need more time? Just to start paying attention to your experience when someone asks you a question.
Yeah. Because I realize I don't know necessarily where I fall in that, if I'm a mismatcher or not. But what do you know about me
Yeah, you're
by
not a
watching me?
mismatcher.
I'm not. Okay, good. I thought it wasn't, but I had this experience a few weeks ago when I was visiting a friend, and I was wearing my maxi dress, and she said, "I really think you could stand to shorten that by 2 inches." And I said, "No." She says, "Well, okay." And then within an hour, I said, let's talk about that. And
Yeah.
then before the end of the day, I had an appointment to get it hemmed, and now it's hemmed. And she was right. She said, "Well, let me pin it up for you and you can see." I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay. And sure enough, it was better. But I
Yeah.
definitely had that knee jerk reaction of no.
Yeah. Well, and that sounds um like and these things are sort of related, but I think that's more of you not
Like,
wanting to be told what to do.
I knew you were going to
Yeah.
say that as soon as you started. Like, yeah, that was what that was. I don't like
Yeah.
to be told what to do. Yeah. I don't mind
Yeah.
being asked to do things, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
how would it have felt in that situation if they said, "Hey, have you ever considered hemming that a little bit, like raising the hem a little bit?"
Yeah, that would have felt much better. And I probably would have said, well, you know, let's try it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. Okay, good. I don't want to be a mismatcher. I don't know why. There's nothing wrong with being a mismatcher, but
No, there's nothing wrong with it. And especially when you sort of know that that's what's going on. And I think a little
mhm,
bit of it is like not wanting to be told what to do or not wanting to be, um, sort of forced into a situation that they don't want to be in. And it's it works, finger quotes, in a way, but it's not necessarily useful in a lot of situations.
mhm.
It's like it's a strategy that people may not even know that they're employing that keeps them safe, but it it just isn't. It just doesn't isn't always helpful.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, but I think it's a good thing to sort of notice. And like I said, I've been trying to sort of use my ability to see similarities and my ability to see differences context specific. Like weirdly with faces, I feel like I'm very much a similarity person because when I see people, I'm always thinking like, oh, they look like so and so, or they remind me
Oh,
of this person or whatever, which is really very much about finding similarities as opposed to
yeah.
differences.
I think I wish I saw more differences when it comes to faces, because I now live in a building with 300 people, and
Oh.
it'd be nice to really be able to hone in on the individuals more than
Yeah,
I do.
that's
Yeah.
that's interesting. I hadn't really put that together, but I think that does help you differentiate people.
Hmm. Yes.
Yeah, seeing what's unique.
Hmm. Yeah. If I want to try to practice, this would be a good place to
Yeah,
practice.
right. Oh yeah, that would be a great way to practice it. But I noticed that you said if you wanted to. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I have to think about that
not
first.
committing to it.
Not committing to it. No. If I commit to something on this podcast, I like to stick with
I
it. So
know. You
I'm
want to be
careful
able
what I
to
commit.
report back.
Exactly.
I get it. I totally get it. But yeah, it's just interesting to sort of pay attention to um, how the people in your life do that, and I really do think that paying attention to sameness and similarities has eased some of my perfectionistic tendencies.
Nice. Well, that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I love stuff like that. Like, really? That? It seems so simple.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it when you explain that stuff.
Oh, good. I hope our listeners also love it.
Me too.
You can let us know if you do or if you don't. Or if hearing this made you realize something about yourself or your partner. You can let us know on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube at Getting to Good Enough. You can send us an email at gettingtogoodenough@gmail.com. You can leave us a voicemail at 413-424-GTGE 4843. But for now, I'm Shannon Wilkinson in Portland, Oregon.
And Janine Adams in St. Louis, Missouri.
And we hope that good enough is getting easier for you. Thanks for joining us on Getting to Good Enough. We hope you heard something that makes your life just a little bit easier. If you did, leave us a review or share this with someone who's looking for their own version of good enough.
Thanks for listening. See you soon. Did you say the social media channels?
I did.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Instagram,
I wasn't
Facebook. Oh, it's fine. Don't worry about me. I'll just be over here wrapping up the podcast while you're, on to your next thing.